What's up, y'all? Yo, it's your boy T Tail. Welcome to Conversations of the Heart. We are going to be talking about the men in mental health with my brother Demetrius, and he's on right now. So I'm just going to tap him in and get this thing going.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There he is.
My my guy,
What's going on,
what's
bro?
going on, man? Hey, yo, man, nah, man. First off, man, I appreciate you doing this, man. I know we've been playing phone tag, you know what I mean, the last couple of weeks, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad to connect with you, man, and I appreciate you doing this, man. Thank you, for
Hey,
real.
we here
Appreciate
now,
it, man.
man. We here right now. That's all that matters.
Definitely, man. Appreciate you. So, to introduce you to my followers, you have a laundry list of accomplishments. You know what I'm saying? You are a brand consultant, a producer. You're the founder of Sol Haus. Is that how you pronounce it? Sol Haus, right?
Soul House, absolutely.
Perfect. You're a partner with TEDx. You're a STEM advisor, philanthropist, host. You know, so you've got a lot of great things going, and you're also a global motivational speaker. So you've got a lot of things going, brother. You know what I'm saying? So
Right
for
on.
my people who don't know you, just who is Demetrius Glover?
Absolutely. So Demetrius Glover. I hail from Chicago. Coming from
Shot
Chicago.
town.
Yes, sir. I'm on the East Coast now. That's where me and you got a chance
Hmm.
to connect out here. Being from Chicago and growing up, I guess I'll give you the backstory and just tell you a little bit
Hmm.
about why Soul House was started and where I am currently and the journey.
Absolutely.
Briefly, growing up from Chicago, growing up with
Hmm.
anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts, and just like when it came to mental health, no real outlet. Of course, I had a therapist who didn't look like me, could not connect with me, and it was no outlet, no community that I could go to. It was more so I just felt like I had to man up. So throughout, I would say my journey and then going into college, they actually prescribed me and before prescribing me, um, diagnosed me with ADHD and anxiety as well. And so at that point, they
Hmm.
gave me these pharmaceutical medications and everything. And so they didn't they helped at first, but just down the line, just stopped working. And so I was always trying to find purpose. And so I know
Hmm.
we talking about mental health, and that's why I want to kick off with something a little bit heavier. So
Hmm.
um, just could not find purpose, in life at all. Didn't want to be here. I thought God made a mistake. He made me. And so
Hmm.
um, about 6 years into utilizing these medications, I realized I'm like, okay, this is hindering me more so than it's actually helping my cause at this point. And my body was just breaking down. My mindset was just horrible at the time. And so I started pivoting. And so I started taking a real look at what's a holistic approach look like for myself.
Hmm.
And I started meditating, started going to the gym, a little more regularly and
Hmm.
eating a little bit better. And at that point, it was like that breath of fresh air I had been waiting for.
Hmm.
And so went out and did, so that's the TEDx that you're talking about. Went out and did a TED talk in order to
Which,
give.
oh, which
Go
was
ahead.
amazing, by the
Right
way.
on, my man. Thank you,
Was
thank
amazing.
you. And the goal was just to be as honest as possible, man, because I knew it would be somebody else out there, going through the same stuff that I was going through as well. And so at that point, I realized, okay, how do I transition this into affecting and influencing a bigger culture, young adults, and how do I make mental health accessible for young adults to be able to get to where I am prior to the years it took me to get there. And so Soul House was born just out of that, and in a way that it gives you two components, and I always call it the gummy bear. It gives you something
Hmm.
that tastes really good, and it's something you're very
Hmm.
familiar with, i.e., music, meditation, and it pairs it with something music. I would say music, things you're used to, music and live entertainment, and it pairs it with something that's really good for you that you may
Hmm.
never have heard or tried before, which is meditation and yoga. And so, yeah, Soul House, man, we do pop-up events live and in person, but the real goal is to give men, give women a way in order to center themselves with a holistic approach.
Yeah, wow. That's super amazing, man. So, how many events do you do per month? And are they just within the United States? Are they just local? Like, where you have them?
Yeah, man. So They were all in the United States prior to
Mhm.
COVID, and so we
Yeah,
started
of
out. We
course.
kicked off our mission in Indiana. So and then from Indiana, we started with Connecticut, started moving around with companies in New York, but then COVID hit. And so COVID actually, the crazy thing is that it allowed
Hmm.
for a global platform. And so I was able to have bands from Romania, dancers from Delhi to hop on, and we went on Zoom. And so it really did give a greater scope to anybody who was following us. It gave that
Wow.
out of the box approach to it. And so prayers to the families of the people who are affected by COVID. Yet
Hmm.
when it comes to what we were able to do, it definitely was a positive time for us.
Right. And you were able to make an impact to a lot of people who are going through
Uh,
things with like with COVID, and people who lost, jobs, and people who lost family members and going through a lot of depression and things like that. You were able to bring, some type of peace and joy and an outlet to those people. So I mean, again, this is amazing, and salute to you. Now, is this a nonprofit, or is this just a business model?
it's actually a for-profit company, and we
Okay.
actually have a lot of other things that we'll implement. We didn't go to the nonprofit route just because when you go that route, you're really hanging on for fundraisers. And when
Yes.
you realize, like, if you didn't start a nonprofit before rolling into another nonprofit, that can
Right.
take 2 years in order to get the
Hmm.
capital you need in order to go. And so
Hmm.
now we started off as a for-profit with a social initiative.
Okay, dope. And how can people, support the cause? Is it show up by ticket sponsors? Like, how can people support if they want to support the business?
Absolutely. So we do online. If you follow us on Instagram at the Sol House,
Hmm.
that's at TheSolHaus. If you follow
Hmm.
us on social media, we actually do Instagram lives with artists. So what we'll do is we'll have the artist play music. We'll have a comedian do his thing, her thing, and then we'll sit back and interview and talk about, just mental health within the industry. And so people can follow us there. We got the website, the
Hmm.
soulhouse.com. And
Hmm.
then, they can purchase tickets if they're in town close to Stanford. They can come out to our live
Hmm.
events. But yeah,
Hmm.
man, all support is definitely welcome.
Dope. So here's what I'm gonna do too. So for people, so I'm not in Connecticut or anywhere like that. So if there's anybody that you personally know, let's just say you got a youngster or somebody, or just anybody who would like to attend your concert but can't afford it, you know, just let me know, and I'll support and I'll sponsor them to
Oh
go,
man,
because I
that's huge.
could, yeah, because I believe that these are the type of the things that's outside of the box, especially within our community, that's
Hmm.
needed. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And so many people say, oh, like, I can't afford to go, so I'm just gonna miss out on the opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's like, you got sometimes you just gotta pay it forward, man. So like, if you know somebody who just wants to go or who needs it or who
Hmm.
can benefit from it, then you could just hit me, you know what I'm saying? And I'll sponsor that person, and hopefully we'll do more stuff like that and collaborate like that as well, bro. So
That's huge, man. One thing I want to say before we move on is that right now the one of the main goals is to get into these schools, these high schools, and they have everything is on Zoom nowadays or online
hmm.
platform. But to give these students, a way, even if it's a daily opening meditation, it's something about it being live that makes a difference as opposed to them having to go on and just go in and pre-record it.
Hmm.
So yeah, between schools and different conferences in the area, we're doing a lot of partnerships that realm. So if you or
hmm.
anybody that's following right now has any connections with conferences coming up or any schools, college, universities, we'd love to partner with them as well.
So I have a friend who she is an educator, and she really is for small businesses to become New York City vendors
Hmm.
for schools, and I
Hmm.
think it's just a simple application to get into the schools. So
Hmm.
that right there is a huge network. Obviously, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
If you
man.
could become a New York City vendor,
Boom.
um, and then you could be right in there with a lot of their programs and things like that to get your way into the New York City school system. So I'll get that link from her
Hmm.
offline, and then shoot it to you.
Right on, man.
You
And
know what I'm
before we
saying?
pivot, man, I just want to say, man, congratulations to you and shout out to you. I've got a chance to witness. You've been putting in work, with
Yeah,
conversations that are hard, and
yeah.
it it plays a huge role. Like if we don't start these conversations, a lot of times, people will pass the
Hmm.
buck. You did just the
Yeah.
opposite. You definitely accepted the challenge, and given what's
Hmm.
going on in today's world, man, all I can say is hats off to you, man. You're doing a phenomenal job.
I appreciate that, bro. It's funny. I didn't set out to do this. I really set out to finish writing this book and doing some other things
Hmm.
and some other projects. And off of one conversation I had off a live with the brother, and me and him was talking about mental health and things like that. And it went for like an
Hmm.
hour and a half. And the feedback I got was like, we need more of these types of conversations.
Hmm.
And I said, really? I said, you know what? I said, well, maybe I'll do something. And
That's
then
it.
this came up, and then it's been amazing. And we're like what 23 or 24 episodes in,
Yeah.
with people who want to actually come and just strategize and pour themselves out to the people. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? The great people like yourself who's doing amazing things, man. So I appreciate that, bro. Thank you.
Right on. Right on.
Shout out to Trice Range. She's in the building. So let's talk about mental health, bro.
Yeah.
Um, especially men, the
Yeah.
men in mental health. I've always felt like women have been on the game, from an early age of, self improvement, personal development, right? They've been taught from an early age about expression, communicating, letting out your feelings, and all those things. And I felt like men were always done a disservice by not being taught those things, by being taught
Hmm.
the opposite, just
Hmm.
man up, be quiet. We don't want to hear about
Hmm.
your emotions. We don't want to hear about these things. And working in nonprofit, being able to speak to some of these young men and to see even at the age of 16 or 17, how much pent up aggression, rage, like depression,
Hmm.
emotions that they've had for like 10 years. And they're only 16 or 17 years old, and they already got 10 years bound up in here with no real way to release. So I've always thought, man, like that's been such a real disservice to our community, especially. you know there's stigmas on mental health, right? And therapists,
Hmm.
right? It's like, oh, you shouldn't go to a therapist, keep everything in the house. What happens in the house stays in this house. And then when you go to church, a lot of times church folks don't want you to go to therapy. You know what I'm saying? Because now there's a stigma on that. All they want you to do is just pray about it.
Hmm.
And it's like you're getting it from church, you're getting it from your parents, or you're getting it from society, about therapy, you know. And then it's like, don't journal because that's feminine. Everything is feminine. Everything. Right. So it's like I feel like there's always been a societal pressure for men to just stay away from expression in some way, shape, or form. And I felt like it's done our generations of men um, a disservice, and we keep passing the same mentality down, man. So I just kind of want to hear your thoughts about just, what we should do or what you think about that.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, I think everything you called out was definitely valid. It's super valid when you talk about the church, and I'm gonna hit on all of those different things.
Hmm.
One of the main things in life is that we have this one body. I can go on vacation, I'm still in this body. I can go talk to somebody halfway around the world, I'm still in this body. I go to sleep in this body. I wake up in this body until the day I'm 6 feet under, I'm in this
Hmm.
body. And
Right.
we have to become more aware as a society of not only our just aware of our bodies, but also, how to tune in, how to really, really tune in and censor ourselves because we're emotional beings. And I want to give an example about something that happened earlier. Um, the past 3 days, I hit a wall. Like everything was going amazing. And I kind of
Hmm.
noticed about myself is that when I exert myself too much, I hit a mental wall and I can't do anything else. Like I can't
Hmm.
move pretty much. And it's been something that's been going on, but it's gotten better and better over time. And the reason I would say that it's gotten better and that there's been a catalyst into helping me to bounce back quicker is because of therapy itself. As a leader,
Wow.
as leaders, we have to seek an outlet. Our friends are not licensed therapists. I don't go
Hmm.
to I don't go to the man at Dunkin' Donuts to change my oil. The same thing, I shouldn't go to a friend in order to be my therapist because they might be going through the same things. Now, I sat down with a friend earlier and I was able to talk with him and he was going through the same thing. And I said him because that's another black man that I was talking to. Now, when we had this conversation, I said we can't rush this because far too many times in society we rush. How you feeling? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Or I had a
Hmm.
bad day, and we move on. But it's like, nah, if we can really get to a point where we like, nah, brother, it's love when I actually ask you, how are you doing? And when we break down that stigma, it has to be done. When it comes, and then by the end of that conversation, we were able to come to um, different routes in order that he can do what he does and more efficiently and center himself in a way. And then the same thing for myself. And it came down to rest in this society, we don't rest enough and we don't use therapy enough as much as we possibly should do. And
Hmm.
so, even when it comes to the church, you could pray on something a million times. Faith without works is dead. We already know that. I could pray for a new car, but if I'm not actually out here working in order to get it, good luck with that car just showing up on my garage. And so the
Hmm.
same thing, it's therapists out here for a reason. So you can pray on it in addition to
Hmm.
going to get therapy, for that situation. And so, yeah, man, I would say in society we literally we've gotten to a point where we're always in go mode, and we forgot about the resources and the community that's around us.
Hmm. And it's amazing that you said that is because I feel like we grew up in a generation that was all about, the can't stop, won't stop. I'm asleep, but I'm dead. Sleep, sleep is the cousin of death. Things like that. You know what I'm saying? And we grew up with that mentality. And you grew up in a big city. I grew up, in New York. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always the hustle. It's
Mm-hmm.
always the grind, right? Until you run your body down physically, right? You know what I'm saying? And so it's like we glorify the hustle. And there's nothing wrong with hustle, but it's like we just glorify this thing where it's just like we can't sleep. There's somebody, oh, while you sleeping, somebody's working. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, yeah, but I need to sleep though.
Yeah.
Like I need the rest. My body needs that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that you brought up that rest component too, because it's really, really, really important.
I'll tell
You
you
know what I'm saying?
the number one way to change your life for the positive, and if we can get this into our heads, I guarantee you we'll have more leaders who are thought provoking.
Hmm.
Um, because when situations like injustice happen, you got a lot of people who think that they're leaders and they want to, pop up and they think it's a sprint,
Hmm.
but it's a marathon. And I'm gonna tell you the one
Right.
thing that will help you and your community is if you stop putting yourself, not you, but anybody
Yeah.
out there
Mhm.
listening, putting
Yeah.
yourself on the back burner. If you swap that
Hmm.
around and move you forward and realize that my physical health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, all of these different things are at the forefront of what is going to literally help me to achieve for the marathon. I always look at what's sustainable. If you put yourself first, if you're on E, you can help nobody else out. And so you got to really switch that around and start really just being able to rest, relax, recoup, and then come
Hmm.
back out refocused.
Super amazing. And shout out to Court in the building. Demetrius, this is the young lady I was telling you about that actually, you know, was telling me and the whole community, to her, to get our small businesses, into the New York State and the Department of Education and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And to
Mm,
become a vendor. So I'm gonna get that link, like I said, from her.
mm,
She's amazing too. And then I'm gonna send it to you. So when it comes to, it's like you said, so when it comes to like this whole mental health thing, like what are some of the tools that you've done um aside from counseling, right? Because sometimes
mm.
somebody might come to you and say, nah, I'm not there yet, D. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to start, you know what I'm saying? But
Mm.
how do I start? Like what are the baby steps that maybe somebody can take to it? Because they may not want to jump 2 feet in
Yeah,
to the counseling. So what are some of the steps that maybe you have done that you might can just give them and say, hey, this is what I did.
absolutely. And I want to say that anytime you start something, don't ever jump right into it. Literally, like the
Yeah.
baby step your way into it,
Hmm.
because we talked about a second ago, sustainability.
Hmm.
Sustainability is literally the key. It's the golden ticket to life. It literally will help you throughout that marathon. And so, um, what helped me get to that? What helped basically, I would say, what helped me get to that plateau to where I needed a therapist at that point. So it was that tipping
Hmm.
point. So what got me there? I started off with meditating for 1 minute a day,
Hmm.
every morning, 1 minute.
Hmm.
And then once I got that down, it might have taken 3 months to just meditate for 1 minute. However
Hmm.
long it takes anybody, it might take 5 months for somebody just to get 1 minute down, and that's
Hmm.
fine. Don't look around when you're talking about yourself. You're the only person with that thumbprint. So don't look
Hmm.
around and say it took this person 5 months, it took this person a day. Just start little. So I started off with meditation. I started off
Hmm.
looking into a diet that worked for me,
Hmm.
because a lot of times when they say eat every 4 hours, eat every 2 hours, eat every, eat this, and that, none of it worked for me. So I had to figure out, okay, consistency, eating. What am I going to put into my body? If I don't put the right fuels into my body, my car isn't, and this body isn't going to operate at the most efficient level it can operate at. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, that exercising, like I said, when it comes to exercising, I can't urge people enough, but to take it day by day, step by step. If you don't run, you don't walk, take 2 steps in the morning, sit back down.
Yeah.
The next day, take three. Just take
Yeah.
it slow. And then once I started implementing all these things, it probably was about oh man, I want to say a year and a half period of little changes. And once I started getting to a point where I said, I can't take this any further on my own, just keep
Hmm.
on digging down. That's when I got the therapist. And that therapist helped me to drill down even further into places that I had no clue about.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's
and
that's
I
that's
want to shout out, to she said something amazing, Miss Mahogany Brown.
Mahogany
She
Brown.
said,
Oh yeah,
oh
yeah, it's
man, she
Nadia.
said healing is definitely a very individual path, not a one size fits all.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. Shout out to Nadia. She's super amazing. Courtney said as well. Connect with her. And register for a free summit. BU summit. Listen, Demetrius. She's a person to know. She even said to get into the Chamber of Commerce, and she could patch you
Yeah,
through to the president if needed.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Now
saying? So
Courtney is her name? Courtney?
court's court. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, okay. I'm actually gonna follow you and actually reach out as soon as we hop off of this. I like to get on the phone with people, especially when you got that mentality. Yeah, we'll
See?
talk. We'll talk. Absolutely.
See?
Uh-oh. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that I think she missed the part of what like just what it is that you do as far
Yeah.
as Sol Haus.
Mhm.
So if you could just run it by her again, so she can know what you do and Sol Haus.
All right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, cool, cool. Well, yeah. Actually, you know what? No, let's hop on the phone. She can run the video back, but we'll hop on the phone so
All
that way
right.
anybody watching and getting it twice.
All right. Cool. So philanthropy, bro. You're big on philanthropy. So how has philanthropy impacted your life?
Man, you got to realize that we're all vessels. If I
Mm-hmm.
literally hold wealth is nothing if I'm not able to share it. I can have the biggest
Mm-hmm.
house in the world. I can have the most
Mm-hmm.
extravagant cars in the world and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not able to help somebody else achieve what I've achieved, or help somebody
Mm-hmm.
else grow in a way that
Mm-hmm.
they may not have known before, it means nothing. It literally is it's going to be the emptiest feeling. Just as empty as your home is, it's going to be the emptiest feeling if you don't help somebody else. And so the way I see it is that on a daily basis, if I can one help myself in order to achieve something throughout the day and do something that I like, something that I love,
Mm-hmm.
but also on the flip side, on a daily basis, try and look at how can I help somebody else grow? Who else's platform can I bring whatever I have and help
Mm-hmm.
them to build whatever they have as well?
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
philanthropy doesn't always have to equal money. I think that's one
Right.
thing, is that we get to a point where we think that, oh, well, I can't be a philanthropist. If you're giving back to your community, Oh man, you're a philanthropist. You're probably the best philanthropist because if you can teach somebody how to make $1 million rather than give
Hmm.
them $1 million, that can make all the difference.
Powerful, man. And now, I've heard your story and things like that. So perseverance.
Mm.
A lot of people talk about it, you know, but perseverance, like, what does that mean to you? Because I've heard your TED Talks. Me and you've had personal conversations. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I know you are somebody that have come through and persevered through just many different battles and things that goes on in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So what does perseverance mean to you?
Yeah, man. I want to say resilience is a
Hmm.
better defining word of how I will put that one. And
Sure.
the reason I say that is because perseverance, I think, will get you through, a few different mechanisms, but resilience is when you always bounce back. So I think about a palm tree.
Hmm.
When the hurricanes hit, those palm
Hmm.
trees will be bent over like
Bent over
this,
with the wooden
bent
brick.
over, bent
Hmm.
over, bent over. But then the
Hmm.
second that storm is over with, two things occur. The palm tree is stronger because of that storm, but
Hmm.
not only that, it goes right back up standing. And so
Hmm.
the same thing, life is going to bring storms, man. Some unexpected, some we might bring on ourselves, but I
Hmm.
can guarantee you it's all about that next step that changes the dynamic of everything. So when you see that picture of it's a picture where it's two people digging for this and this gold at the end of this um, cave. So they're digging
Hmm.
feverishly. Both of them are digging. One of them is still digging and he's about to hit the gold. The other one stops just
Yep.
before he gets through that wall and sees the gold. He stops and starts walking away. So resilience is when you can go through all of the BS that life gives you and still wake up and still stand up and keep moving forward.
Mm. Powerful. So when it comes to execution, because there are so many people that says, what, D, listen, I want to do this. I want to write this book, or I want to open this business. I want to get this job, degree, whatever it is in life. And but a lot of people have a lot of wants. You know what I'm saying? And they want to do a lot of different things, but then a lot of people don't execute.
Yeah.
So if I was a young kid, I was 18 or 21, coming out of college or high school, like with these lofty dreams, and I say, hey D, like, I want to do this, but I don't know how. Like, what would you tell me?
Get around people who are going to challenge your thinking. Get around mentors. Get around people who have
Hmm.
done what you want to do beforehand. Because the
Hmm.
second you go tell your friend, especially at 18, you're a fragile individual. A lot of people, are especially when it comes to, us men, until we hit, a certain age, we're still fragile individuals. And so when it comes to what your friends tell you, a lot of these people will say, oh, that's not possible, just because they didn't do it, just because they couldn't do it
Hmm.
on their own, they'll shoot your dream down. And then in your head, you'll
Hmm.
pass the token, and pass the buck on and say, okay, well, the next person that comes to you, and that cycle will continue and be a domino effect. But if we
Hmm.
look at it in a different approach, the second that you figure out, I want to do this, if you get around people who have done it before, they're going to influence you in a way that will cultivate your dream with you. And you'll start to pull tools and things like that. And they'll tell you that's possible. And you'll start to realize that it's possible. And you got to keep those
Hmm.
individuals. And so every leader should have a mentor and should be a mentor at the same time, because it's that flow of energy that will
Hmm.
keep you sustainable throughout the journey. And so especially at a young age, you got to have the right people around you.
Hmm. And that's so powerful. Like, it's such a simple concept, that from back in the day that I do love. It says, yeah, you are the company that you keep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like either good or indifferent or bad. Like that, you are the company that you keep. So it's super important um to have those mentors too. And it's like you
Yeah.
said, and to be one.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Courtney
Courtney loves
funny.
you, man.
She funny, absolutely. Now we
Nah,
talking the same
man.
thing. I could tell from like the when she had group economics, we talking the
Hmm.
same talk. So yeah, we'll definitely connect.
Dope. So in your opinion, like when it comes to men, in mental health and communication. What do you think is the reasons why it's very hard for a lot of men to communicate?
Oh man, just where we come from.
Hmm.
It literally is. I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and so I've seen a father tell his son and punch him in his chest. I remember his son was crying over something that happened. Like he something happened to this child that literally you would care for a child normally if this happened to him. I can't remember the exact situation. Like he might have ran into something and hit his eye or something like that. You would normally care for this child. And I watched this father punch his son and grab his son and literally just tell him man up and turn his back and kept walking. And so you got the kid sitting here crying, just following his father. Now I can guarantee you one thing is that kid is going to do the same exact thing. And so when it comes to mental health, we really just got to break that stigma little by little and start showing love for each other and welcome that conversation. Because if we don't welcome that conversation now, man, our kids are doomed. My
Hmm.
main thing is that I don't want my son to grow up and feel like he has to battle his own self, and have that war within when he really doesn't have to, and it should be that community and that place of knowing I got my therapist, but I also got, people around me who I can rap with as well.
Hmm. And I think we come from like it happens so much, and I really get tired of hearing it, but not everything's
Generational
good.
trauma. I didn't mean to cut you
Trauma,
off,
yeah.
but she
Hmm.
said generational trauma.
Not
Yeah.
good. Yep. Like it's like we always have this thing that everything from the old school is this immaculate, amazing thing. And there's so many things from the old school that's not right.
Hmm.
Like it's not right. And of course, people can only teach you what they know, but there's got to become a point where it's like you said, when we know better, we have to change the narrative and do better. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Just because it came from 2 generations ago, it doesn't mean it's the right thing. A lot of people didn't even know how to open businesses, like 2 generations ago or 3 generations ago, right? But we
Yeah.
do. Like we know what it takes. Like when I was 10 years old, truthfully, I thought it took $100,000 or more to open a business. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. I was like, there's no way I could ever own a business. I said, because I didn't know any better. And because my parents didn't know any better. You know what I'm saying? For them, it was just go out and get a job and work and work and work and work and work and work. Right? But it's just now knowledge that we have. It's our duty, you know what I'm saying, to really say, hey, listen, all that stuff that you guys were teaching, it's like we're living in a different generation. We are in an Amazon generation. We're not in a Toys R Us generation.
Yeah.
Toys R Us is gone. It's
Yeah.
finished. Like we're now in an Amazon generation, and we can't keep teaching Toys R Us principles in an Amazon generation because it's
Hmm.
not going to work. You know what I'm saying? Like we've got to do so much better, especially with our boys and of course with our women too. But they've been ahead of the curve. There's
Yeah.
so many people talking to women, first of all, so they've been ahead of the curve, and there's so many people that want to talk to women. Why? Because number one, it's profitable. They'll go to the conferences, they'll buy the books and all those things, right? But for men, it's like there's nobody to talk to us. There's many
Yeah.
that will talk at us for sure, right? But there's not many that will actually talk to us.
Hmm.
So it's up to us to kind of change the narratives to break some of these generational curses and trauma, like Nadia said. Like what do you think about that?
Yeah, man. I would say that change, man. It's this huge fear of approaching something differently that
Mm-hmm.
you may have never seen before. And I want to just let people know, especially when it comes to our community, Black is bold, Black is
Mm,
royal. Don't
mm,
don't don't we ever forget that. Don't we ever look in the mirror and forget how bold and how royal our people are.
mm,
And beyond that, change what we have to offer, what we can really create, what we can really get back to is that royalty. But it starts with looking at it and saying, I can be that, and knowing that we don't have to, we got to break down a couple of things within our own Black community. This is not a Black versus white thing. This is not a man versus female
mm,
thing. This is a mentality shift that needs to occur within our
mm,
community. is that we got to get rid of the crabs in the barrel mentality. We got to get rid of the old mentality of looking at ways that, like you said, they don't work, plain and simple, that just don't work. And so now that we're here, we got to start realizing that somebody, we look at the street light. A black man created the street light, the traffic light. If that's
Mm-hmm.
possible from, and that's one small, like, I mean, that's a huge thing, but
Mm-hmm.
that's one example of something that a black man created that is
Right.
phenomenal. And so we got to realize that somebody told him he couldn't, over and over and over and over again. But when we talk about perseverance and resilience as a culture, we must really push and redefine that. And now is the moment. I don't want anybody out there listening to this to ever pass the buck and say that this is somebody else's job or this is somebody else's work. No, if you're listening to this, this is your work. This is my work. This is your work.
Mm. And that's powerful in itself because it is up to us. It is our work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so many people just say, you know what, it's not for me. You know, I'm just gonna just go out for mine. And like how you always said about the crab in the barrel mentality. What I hate is when you have to get to a certain level in life to where you could pass down or you could um, grab a hand and teach, mentor, or just give somebody an opportunity. It's always met with, oh no, this person has to go through what I went through. Like I went through this, so they got to go through that too. And I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like, nah, like that's not why we here. Like, why do I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that you go through the same loops that I went through and make you hit the same hurdles and things. If I could tell you, you know what I'm saying, things that could help your life to avoid those pitfalls, that's what I want to do. If I have
Yeah.
an opportunity for you, you know what I'm saying, on a job or somewhere, I don't want to have to make you go through what I went through, like it's a hazing process. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? No,
Mm-hmm.
like we have to work together. We've got to look back and give our hands to people and say, hey, listen, I see where you're at. I've been where you've been. Let me bring you up. Like, let me bring
Mm-hmm.
you up. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Somebody said, that's that trauma, T. Trauma bonding is real. Hmm.
Yeah.
That's,
And it's
mm-hmm.
one thing I wanted to say on that too is that, man, I completely lost my train of thought.
You know,
I It was something I was gonna tell
it
you, man. I was
happens,
like,
bro.
man, it was, I completely lost my train of thought.
What was it about? Helping people, you know,
I
mentorship
wanted to,
or
yeah, no, I think the second we become honest, I think that's what it is.
hmm
And so, like, I want to be honest right now is that breaking that old mentality, especially coming from Chicago, and then going to, as soon as I got to New York, Harlem is one of those things where, it's everybody's out self. There is no community unless you're from that community. The closest thing I found a community in Harlem was the barbershop. And so when it comes to the renovations, I would say that right now I'm renovating
hmm
my home being my body,
hmm
my mentality, my mindset. I'm renovating
mm
that because I've gone through a number of times where I could not see outside and could not understand the reason to reach back and to give back.
mm
But when we start talking about
mm
legacy and the maturation process, now I'm doing that renovation work. And so for anybody saying, this is so deeply ingrained in me, nah, it's never too late to renovate at all.
hmm
And so it's just like,
hmm
now is the time and where we can really change that. And it's conversations like this. It's books out there, the new Jim Crow is different elements that
hmm
we can really infuse ourselves with something different to start pushing out the old and start making way for the new.
mm Um, man, that was definitely powerful, bro. So let's talk about so what are some of the books that you've read that helps your renovation process? Like, what are some of the tools um that you might can give to somebody out there to say, hey, this is a tool, this is a book that I've read that make it help them start on that process.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the first book I ever read in its entirety, and I was going through a breakup. So myself and my ex, we had just broken up, and um, I was brokenhearted. You know what I'm saying? She was gone. I
Hmm.
was brokenhearted, and so I'm like, how do I give myself something that can fulfill and help start that inner work, in a different way.
Hmm.
The Alchemist. That was that first book that I actually
Hmm.
read in its entirety that I wanted to read. And
Hmm.
throughout that process, it was probably the best starting point, I would say, for myself, because it it helped me look at a few different components. It helped me to look at, this is a journey. This is, and have you read The Alchemist before?
No, not
Okay.
not yet.
You got to read it, but it talks about a journey, and it's a young man's journey, and he starts in this place where he's comfortable, and
Hmm.
he has this girl that he loves, and he has, he's tending to sheep. He has a job, everything like that, and he literally picks up and says, "There's more out there. I'm comfortable, but there's more out there."
Hmm.
And from that point, he started going through these trials and tribulations, but he started seeing these early successes to let him know he was on the right path. And then he hit these trials and tribulations, but he had to push through all of that. He was searching for this gold, and he went all around the world and had all these different things happen to him, and good and bad. And then he
Mm.
finally found what he was looking for. And so it's really looking at perseverance, a starting point, and uncomfortable, becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Wow, that's super amazing, bro. Um, so somebody might look at you and say, "Man, like you've been resilient, like you've been through a lot, and look at all your accolades, look at all of your titles and things like that. I want to be just like you, right?" Well, and what would be your response to that?
Mentors. I would say, but above all, man, I would say that, we each have a different path, and I tell
Hmm.
anybody that, don't be like your role model. Figure out what's
Hmm.
best for you and utilize your role model's tactics in order to help you get there. Because a lot of
Mm.
times we try to be carbon copies of somebody else, and we'll never be the best version of them. We can only be the best
Hmm.
version of ourselves. And so keep people who challenge your thinking. That's the main
Hmm.
thing, is that I always position myself as a student above everything. And it's like, to the day I die, I always want to think that I'm only halfway there,
Hmm.
and knowing that it's brilliant minded people around me that can help me to grow in every facet. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that, I know two languages now. You know how many other languages there are out there? So as long as you can keep a
Hmm.
student mentality about you, and you got the right people in your circle, somebody said it earlier, show me your friends, I'll show you who you'll be in 5 years. The same
Hmm.
thing, is that you got to look at your circle and start weeding people out. And something I've looked at recently that will help people out there listening right now is getting rid of the fear of letting go. Not everybody is for you, whether it be
Hmm.
friends, whether it be, somebody you're talking to, whatever the case may be. The second you can start letting people and things go that don't belong to you, and nothing belongs to you, by the way, but the second you can let things
Hmm.
go, man, you'll start realizing the freedom within yourself that allows for new in order to come in.
Yeah, I call that the gift of separation.
Mm, yeah,
Because it is a gift for many reasons
yeah,
of why you should and why you need to let a lot of things go. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody is here for the long haul. Not
yeah.
everybody needs to be attached to your destiny. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
That's just not the way it goes. So I know that you've done the TEDx, and you're a part of Toastmasters,
mm-hmm.
right? Um, so were you like a good speaker before Toastmasters, or was that something that you developed just while you were in Toastmasters? Like, how did Toastmasters kind of impact just your journey on being a speaker?
Man, oh man, whenever you join something, you train it with lions, they'll start showing you those things that, if you thought you could roar before, you can roar as loud as you want to, and then they'll tell you, nah, you didn't even hit the mark at all, and so
Wow.
when you're training with lions, it was one of those things where um I back in the day, I used to mumble. I used to I didn't have the confidence within in order to speak for myself or to stand up for myself.
Hmm.
And so I don't believe anybody may be born necessarily with the gift in order to just come out the gate and just say, okay, I'm a polished speaker, at all.
Hmm.
But through Toastmasters, so I started gaining that confidence around the time when I joined Toastmasters, and I wanted to get a lot of things off my heart, and so it became more of a therapeutic approach for me when it came to
Mm,
the fine tuning of hand gestures and body language and keeping an open approach and pacing, pauses. Those are the little
mm,
elements that you really can't see from the inside looking out. And so you really got to have
mm,
people around you in order to help cultivate and fine tune those little things. So that way, from the
mm-hmm,
outside looking in, they'll be able to tell you, okay, you might want to change this, you might want to change that. And then you can start that
mm.
growth process.
Wow. It's funny how you said that you kind of grew up with like a mumble. Um, I grew up with a really terrible stutter.
Mm,
I mean, it was terrible. Growing
mm,
up as a kid, growing up in Queens, going to school with a terrible stutter,
yeah,
was absolutely traumatizing just for just so many different reasons, bro. And I went through high school like that. I went through college like that, and probably until I was about 26, 27 years old. I really was just traumatized about speaking in front of people.
mm,
Um, because for the fear of stuttering, like
mm,
when you're in school and you're reading this book and the teacher's going around and she's going around saying, okay, you read a paragraph, you read a paragraph, and the terror that struck my soul because I
mm,
got my head down and I'm like, yo, I know she's gonna call me. So now I'm trying to actually catch the paragraph which I know she's gonna ask me to read. So now I'm counting the people. Now I'm
yeah,
counting how many paragraphs I got left because I
yeah,
know the anxiety, my heart starts to race. I start
oh
to
yeah,
sweat internally,
oh
like
yeah,
because I know that I gotta read this
yeah,
out loud and I'm terrified. So,
mm,
because I don't want to stutter. And then what I do, I try to speed through it, and then it makes it 10 times worse. And it
yeah,
never fails, but it always happens that way. So when I hit 27, I said, I've got to figure out a way to tackle this. I said, because there's just many things that I want to do in life. I said, and I don't know where this is going to take me. I said, so, but I do know that I do want to be able to speak to multiple people in public, and not have this fear. I said, but I've got to figure out a way to kind of just get rid of this, or if not get rid of, but kind of be able to at least cut it down at least
mm,
75%, you
mm,
know? So I literally taught myself how to speak again, just retrain my whole way of speaking. And it took a couple years, like at least a couple years to truly get it down. I changed how fast I talk and just the way I talk,
mm,
how I just round out my words, sound out my words and things like that. I changed that completely. And it's not 100% gone, but it's at least 75 to 80% gone to where I started speaking colleges and universities and schools and in front of nonprofits. Then I'm speaking in different halfway homes. So I'm doing these things that I've never done before. Um, because I just made a choice and I said, yo, I
mm,
really want to conquer this thing. So many people told me that I was going to have it forever, as bad as I had it forever, and I just wouldn't accept that, bro. I said, nah, man, like I gotta try.
mm,
I have to try,
mm,
so, here I am, and here you are, doing both kind of not similar, but some of the things that we both wanted to do,
mm,
um, in our lives that we're called to do. And it's because like we made a choice, what
mm.
I'm saying, to be different, to change our own circumstances, what I'm saying? So I just thought that was, pretty dope that you had, what I'm saying, a mumble and I had a stutter and I'm like, yo, man, that's real. Nah, man, that's real because
Yeah,
it meant, because it meant a lot to me when, the company that we used to work for.
yeah,
And I went to a training in Jacksonville and we had to do all these different things, role plays and speaking, whatever the case
yeah.
is, right? And a trainer came up to me and she said, yo, you speak so well.
Mm.
I, I'm who? Like,
He said,
I've
"Who are you
never,
talking about?"
yo, I said, I know you're not talking to me. I was like, out of all the compliments I've gotten in my lifetime, that was not one of them,
Yeah,
And so to hear that took me back to all the stuff
mm,
like I've been through when it came to public speaking and speaking in public and having that anxiety, you know. And I'm like, man, like all that hard work, just paid off, and then after that, then more people then I start to hear it more,
Mm-hmm.
and I can tell you right now, there would be no way that I can do this right now if it wasn't for the things that I went through before and the
Mm-hmm.
changes I had to go through. There'll be no way that I would even think about doing this. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it's funny though. It's just because when I first did a video, when I first started to do this work about 4 or 5 years ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
started putting out videos and things like that, you know what I would do? I would try to hide myself. This is the craziest thing in the world. I would shoot the video with shades on because I was ashamed
Mm-hmm.
of what I thought I was going to sound like because of my stutter. And even though
Mm-hmm.
it was better, I said, I'm not going to record myself and doing a video. I'm going to put it out. I was nervous as all heck. And
Mm-hmm.
then I remember doing a couple of videos with it on because I had stuff to say. And somebody was like, oh, look at him. He think he fly. You know what I mean? Like, he's just trying to be out there preaching us and he thinking he fly with the shades on. Not even knowing that had nothing to do with it. It
Mm-hmm.
was because I was trying to hide me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because of the shame I felt of like, okay, well, if I stutter, I have my shades on, whatever the case is. Like, that's what I felt was protecting me from that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But we all have our things, you know what I'm saying? And that's what
Yeah,
growth is
man.
about. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
So,
it's interesting, man, that you said that you were able to stand on, that greatest weakness. A lot of times, I think that's pretty much kind of what life is. And I will say that is
hmm
that whatever you feel your greatest weakness is, the sooner you're able to stand on top of it, that's when
hmm
you find purpose within yourself. And whatever
hmm
that weakness, I kid you not, for most people, whatever they feel their greatest fear or greatest weakness is, the sooner they tackle it, the sooner they tackle it, that's that moment that shifts to where they're able to go from, I'm able to not only influence myself and impact myself, to now I'm able to influence other people because I've now stood on my greatest fear and everything else falls secondary to it. And so I wanted to
mm
commend you, man, because even from the standpoint of seeing you grow, we met about what, 3 years back. And
yeah, yeah.
seeing you grow, even from, I know you said, the stutter and everything, seeing you, actually two things. I got to speak on two things. So one, seeing you grow from the stutter in the past 3 years, you've come 100%, just a long way. And so I commend you
hmm
for, taking that time in order to work on yourself. Now, you also did something at that organization that we were working at prior to. You
hmm
always put us on. You always made
hmm
sure that you put the Black community and always educated the Black community and always were always a resource for the Black community. And I can't say what that did enough, for the way a lot of times you could tell me a million things, but until I see it for myself, I can never
hmm
really abide by it. And so once I saw what you were doing, it changed my mentality a lot in order to be
hmm
able to okay, how is he doing that? How can I do the same thing? And so, that level of influence, people are always watching, man. I don't care if you got, one view, it might be 100,000 people watching, from the outside looking
hmm
in. So, I always want to say, everybody out there, if you're gonna do it at your best ability because people are watching. But we got to start
hmm
standing on top of these fears.
And that's crazy because I really didn't even think that people noticed that part of the work that I was doing, as far as putting people on, like, and I really tried to put people on at that point and educate, even if it didn't work out with a
Yeah,
particular opportunity for them,
yeah.
man, I would really sit there and educate them. And I got talked to about that too, between us, I got talked to about that and said, like, why are you taking so much time? Like, we need to keep things moving. And I said, man, but at the end of the day, I said, there's no way that I can sit across from somebody, right? And see what their weaknesses are. And then just say, all right, just go
Mm-hmm.
on about your way. And,
Mm-hmm.
God bless. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I taught job readiness training classes. So like
Mm-hmm.
I knew like what their resume should look like.
Mm-hmm.
I knew structurally what they're looking for, and especially during the interview process and things like that. So I always wanted to educate them and say, hey, listen, so even for next time, so even if I don't have the opportunity, even for yourself, like this is what you need to really do to fix. And I got talked to quite a few times for that. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it didn't even matter because
Yeah.
I would want somebody to do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And it's funny that you said that because I didn't even think that even that people were really even noticing that as far as like my peers and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I was so damn. So I appreciate that one.
Hey,
That's
man, I saw
crazy.
it every single time, man. You put the community, you put us on. I can't tell you enough, man, what that meant to see it, what it meant to be able to be a part of it, man. That's one thing that I will continuously remember. You put us on in that at that company, man. That was amazing, remarkable.
Appreciate that, bro. Listen, it's come up to the time, man. It's almost an hour.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you want to say, any words of wisdom that you might want to tell the people, man? Again, just give them where they could find you, any upcoming events, you'll let
Yeah.
them know.
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, I just want to thank you, Terrence, for just providing the platform, in order for people like myself in order to come on, and give the wisdom, that we have, and be able to share a community
Mhm.
right here, right now. Beyond that, what's next? Follow the Sol Haus. That's TheSolHaus. You can catch us on Instagram, Facebook as well. Like I said, the goal is really to provide mental wellness and mental health resources for as many young adults. And when I say young adults, that means all the way down to, elementary school, all the way going up, beyond that. But the main thing is we really got to have this community and we really have to have these conversations. So thesolhaus.com, TheSolHaus.com. But above anything, follow me, Meech the Six on
Mhm.
on Instagram. But nah, man, like I said, I'm really appreciative of this, and I can, wish you continued success in everything you do, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Listen, people, just go check out this YouTube, man, that he did on TEDx. I tell you,
Mm,
it's powerful. It'll definitely bless your life. I know when I watched it, it definitely blessed my life, and I learned a lot. It's like I always told you from day one, like when we met, I said, man, you solid, bro. I said, you a solid brother. And then to see that when you shifted from that, and then when I saw you doing these things, I said, man, like it didn't surprise me. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
I didn't know that at that point, I didn't know that we'd be doing this.
yeah.
But listen, I'm looking forward to even working with you at some point in the future.
Mm, mm,
Any way that I can help you, you already know. I'm definitely down for the cause. I help you out. Any kind of resources that I can give you, I absolutely will, bro. And I really salute you, your growth, and everything that you're doing. Man, I definitely salute you, bro. You're king for real,
yeah,
bro.
man. Right on, brother. I appreciate that. And one thing I do want to say before we hop off here for everybody out there,
Yeah.
don't try to be perfect, just try to be better. That's it, plain and simple.
Listen, you heard the man. This is gonna be up after this. I'm gonna put this on the page. It's gonna be on Spotify. It's gonna be on Anchor. It's gonna be on Facebook, Twitter. I'm putting it on everywhere for everybody to see, bro.
Let's
So
go.
again, bro, thank you, bro. Hey, maybe we could do a part two at some point, man. All
Let me
right,
know, brother. I'm here for it, man. All right, man. You be easy out there. Stay healthy. Stay dangerous, my man.
all right, bro. Peace.
Peace.